Yeah, something about just like launching a lob pass across to one of your hammer bros and it going into slow motion and just like you can just feel it. You're like, I'm scoring this.
It's like
one.
this is it. Yep.
This is getting buried. And most of the time you're right. Every now and then though, that Gator goalie will make some crazy save and you're like, where'd you come from, dude? You've been playing like shit all game. And then you make this diving heroic save.
I do love that the Gator is always the goalie.
I know, except not in the new ones.
No,
I think they like switched it to Boom Boom, I think,
yeah.
or something in the new one.
He's okay.
Yeah, he's fine, but give me those Gators, man. What do they lose the rights to Donkey Kong Country?
You know what? That's probably a factor,
rare.
isn't it?
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised because they seem like they're DK characters. Yeah, they're like, all right. Rare was like, all right, you can use DK, but any Kremlings are ours. Okay. Hey everybody, welcome to Pursuing Pixels. My name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with John Hines.
Hey there.
And Randall Nolery.
Hey folks.
And we are back again to talk about some video games. Not a little peek behind the curtains here, I guess. A little twofer tonight. Recording a little double episode. Been a little while since we all sat down for a proper evening of recording here, and we've all had a little bit of time to sink our teeth into some games here. So I think John probably has had the most time. I shouldn't say most time, but definitely done the most sinking in of teeth to those video games. So I guess we'll let you take the lead here with some of the stuff that you've been diving into lately.
Yeah, and I don't know why I kept it a secret until this second episode, but
I like it.
DJ came over.
I like it too.
Our my house the other weekend, and we were just playing games together. So I had my own.
That's even better.
Hangout session with DJ where we played a bunch of video games.
That's
heck
great.
Yeah. We'll have a little DJ sandwich then today.
Yeah. But one of the things that he wanted to do when we were playing games was he wanted to watch me play Deltarune, my other resolution game for this year.
Nice.
And so I didn't play a ton of it. I actually played the exact same amount that I played the first time that it came out, like when it was just chapter 1 maybe on the Switch. But
right.
I back then I think I had got it for free, which I'm not sure if you still get all of the. If you had it at that point, I'm not sure if you continue to get all of the additional chapters for free. But I just decided to pick it up again on Steam, and
okay.
I'm a big fan of Undertale and Toby Fox in general, and I played through the intro section of Deltarune and I fucking love it. It's so good.
Nice.
It's
heck yeah.
Just the intro, but everything about it, the presentation, the humor, the care about mechanics and genre, I think are really special, especially as a follow-up to Undertale, where I think it's been mentioned on anyone who is following the development of Deltarune and Undertale, that Undertale was the game that Toby Fox made to learn how to make games, because Toby wanted to make Deltarune and said, okay, well, I'll make another game first before I can actually make the game I want to make. And
wow, I did not know that. That's ridiculous.
I didn't know that either. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Deltarune, there's a huge Earthbound and Mother influence in these games, but Deltarune from its opening is just so much Earthbound. And it does a very similar thing where it's asking about your sense of self and what is your favorite thing, those, or what brings you joy, and then immediately subverts that as the It's a very meta game just right off the bat, where it's dealing with, systems and what your expectations for an RPG, or especially of a game of this type, and what your decisions are and what mechanics mean in games. But it does it in a way that I really don't see happen in other games. There is a very specific thing that Toby Fox does with Undertale and with Deltarune. to my experience, I have not played anything past the opening section of Deltarune, but my expectations is that it's just going to continue to do this. But like, as it's, you know, introducing mechanics, like the core things of like, here's how you play a game. And if you've played Undertale, it's in direct conversation with that and subverting your expectations of what a sequel to Undertale, quote unquote, would be. And like, I don't know, I think it's a really strong start, and I'm very excited to play more of it. And it got me really excited to play more of it, especially having, you know, DJ is a big fan of both of them and wanted to see my reactions like in person. So I think that there's going to be a lot of like, already he asked if I had played any more of it.
Nice.
And I was like, no, we haven't recorded the podcast, so I've been playing a lot of other games, but
that's funny because when he was in town, I almost handed him a controller and was like, just play through Sayonara Wild Hearts. I just want to watch you play through this game here. We didn't end up having time for it, but I was kind of same thing. Just like, I don't necessarily need to play this myself again right this second, but if you're interested, I would happily just watch you rip through this game.
Mm-hmm.
But like, is Deltarune out in a quote unquote complete fashion yet?
No.
I guess I was kind of waiting on that aspect too, considering they released, like you said, the free chapters many years ago at this point.
And then they have released 2 more chapters at least,
There
like chapter
are
3 and 4.
Yes, there are 4 chapters out now. I believe there's going to be 7 planned.
Okay.
Which was a similar thing like when Kentucky Route Zero came out. It was like, oh, I played through the first chapter and then I was like, all right, I'll just wait for the rest of them to come out. And then I didn't finish that when all the rest of the chapters came out. So at this point I was like, all right, I should just play it. Like, I have access to it and I've got, I don't know, the drive to do it now. I might as well play it and then wait for the rest of it to come out. And so we'll see about that. Like, that's further on down the line. But for whatever reason, that got me then in the mood to start playing other games that I either were on my like radar or stuff that I had in my library. So I booted up In Stars and Time, which is kind of a loop based, like Groundhog Day-esque time sort of RPG of a similar top down. I don't want to like use the Earthbound comparison because I don't think it's as apt, but it's a similar sort of thing. It's just a top down RPG, but this one is you are going to like fight this time wizard, and as you go through the dungeon, you unlock like it's a puzzle run based thing. It's not really a roguelike, but it's like every loop that you do, you either get a little bit further or you get a clue that you need to do another run in order to like see like a different aspect of it, or you die and then you have to do another run. Okay. And like I've played a few of these now, and I didn't dislike this game. I think it's still really interesting. I think the characters are really like very well fleshed out. There's a lot of good humor, and it's like there's definitely stuff in it that is keeping me engaged and wanting to do more runs and figure out more of the puzzles. But there, in contrast to Deltarune, where I was like, the mechanics of that game are really heavily intertwined with the story and like the core concepts of what it's trying to say and accomplish. Like it almost felt more like these like runs are more obstacles than they are actually like engaging with or like intertwined into like the themes of the game. So it was an interesting thing where I was like, I don't know, I kind of wish that it didn't have this loop element to it, where it was just like, if it was a more straightforward dungeon where you're just solving puzzles and moving forward instead of, oh, well, I can't solve this puzzle until I die and start another loop. Like, I don't necessarily think that adds anything to the game. And I think the rest of the game is really strong. Like, it has a rock, paper, scissors-esque element system. So like that's a pretty easy thing to get your head around and to internalize.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It feels almost like this is the expectation of what games are being made right now. It's not really a roguelike, but it could be billed as a roguelike or something along those lines where, yeah, this is kind of how games are being made right now. And I don't necessarily think it like adds anything to the game experience. And I think that, you know, there's a lot already in the game that I think is really good that, I don't know.
Maybe something a little more streamlined would hit the spot a little bit more or something. Because it does. I was looking it up just now, and it's got a really cool, striking, like black and white, hand drawn art style.
Yeah.
It's definitely a game that I think I added to my Switch wish list just based on, you know, visuals alone. Just like, because I'm not a huge RPG guy, but definitely just every now and then when one looks like it stands out, you know, it's like, oh, okay, this looks interesting enough where it might grab my attention. But yeah, you might be steer me towards taking it off my wish list because I got too many things on there anyways.
Yeah, and there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of good dialogue, but because you're doing like the same day, like Groundhog Day over and over again, it gives you like a fast forward button to like fast forward through all the dialogue. And I was like, I don't think this is the right move. Like, sometimes the dialogue changes, but the game also stresses that it's fine to skip over it. And I was like, I don't know.
That's
a little odd. Yeah. Especially in an RPG, you know, not that I'm someone that needs
to. And a character-driven RPG, too, where, like, the characters are, like, really interesting, and I care about them, so, I don't know. It was an interesting game that I'm going to keep playing, and I think is going to do some really interesting stuff, but it was very interesting in comparison to Deltarune, where, like, every part of the gameplay is, like, core thing that is very heavily considered and integrated into the like RPG itself. But yeah, those were two of the games that I was going to talk about. And then also when DJ was over, you know, I was talking about Octopath Traveler 2, which is a game that I've been playing a lot of and I've been really enjoying, and mostly talking about the combat system of that. And at one point I was describing is like, oh yeah, I really like the turn-based combat of Octopath Traveler 2. I think it's one of my favorite like turn-based combat systems that Square has put out. And then I made some reference to dungeon encounters, and that got us to like playing some dungeon encounters, which is, I think, the complete distillation of only gameplay and nothing else. And like, Dungeon Encounters, if you aren't familiar with, is a Square RPG that is kind of a more older dungeon crawler sort of thing, but they have removed all graphics basically except for character portraits. And it looks like a crossword puzzle in terms of how you're moving around on the map. All of the event tiles are just numbers in a hexadecimal system that correspond to, I think, a randomly generated like series of like things. So each run could be different. It's like, it is actually way more a rogue like in terms of being styled after the original Rogue.
Nice.
Right.
We've randomized what every function does in this game, but also it has, I think, all of the music is like classical royalty free music just played on two like electric guitars.
Sure.
And it is, Lauren has been watching me play Octopath Traveler 2, and that is a beautiful game with a lot of care put into the visuals.
Gorgeous.
In addition to the gameplay. And I started playing Dungeon Encounters in front of her, and she like immediately is like, I hate this. This is the word. She got actively angry at a game that is mostly just distilled to numbers on a screen.
Doesn't she know this is John in a nutshell, though? Well, like everything you described, like, yep, John, yep, okay. Yep.
We try not to feed into my basest impulses, but
yeah, like I'm looking at the trailer right now, and like the character like little like illustrations and everything look cool enough. But man, this game looks cheap. It's all hell. Like they cut every corner, like the little pop-ups for like the text box, that like tells you what's happening in the encounter is like, it looks like a Windows 95 pop-up box practically. Yes. Like that is an ugly game, but it kind of looks fun. It's addictive.
Interesting.
Totally.
Addictive is the right term. We were also DJ and I were talking about the concept of the machine zone, which is a term, I think it's Scholl's Addiction by Design is a book about mostly about gambling and how like that gets iterated into game design and other things. And the machine zone is sort of like a perverted sense of like flow and immersion where you just kind of get into the act of doing the thing over and over again, not for any like purpose or goal, but just because you are part of the machine. And man, does dungeon encounters feel like nothing but the machine zone.
I don't need gamification of an actual video game. No,
yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good. I don't need the compulsion there. No,
I think as a like pure distillation of like RPG mechanics, I think it is fascinating, and I do think it is at times fun. But there is also a point of where it's just like, I just need to like keep doing this action until I can get better equipment, which will allow me to go further so that I can do more of the action to get better equipment so that I can just keep doing this over and over again for 100 floors. And I'm like, I think I've gotten my fill on this, actually.
On some level, that is RPG distillation, I suppose.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I kind of like when there's a story or visuals or character.
That stuff is nice.
Well, and like the thing
that
that's
really
like
gives a flourish to it.
The thing that's like a shame looking at this game is it's like they went like halfway there on all that stuff. Like those illustrations are nice and like the character models don't look bad, but then like the stiff animations make them look bad. You know, it's like they just clearly like just went bare minimum on this game in every possible way. It's kind of hard to believe that it's like Square published and developed. Like, it kind of seems like something that they would maybe just like scoop up because of like seeing the addictive nature of it or something, and just like, okay, we'll publish this, but it's some small little indie solo dev,
right? But it's like
knows?
So far the opposite of like either Octopath Traveler or any of the Final Fantasies. Like it is. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. Square just getting up to no good here.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're good there to leave the RPG chat, I guess we can kick it over to Randall here for a little retro action.
My standard stuff here. So, for whatever reason, not for whatever reasons, because they're incredible. They will always be incredible. But I've been talking a lot about Treasure and Treasure developed games. It just kind of bubbles to the surface for whatever reason. I just have to mention that in most podcasts these days, apparently.
Yeah, even with a little Cuphead,
Yeah, it just kind of keeps coming up. But for good reason. They're video game action godfathers of a sort, I would say, and have made some of the best versions of different types of action games in particular that I've liked historically. But so I had decided last year, I'm like, okay, there's some of these Treasure games that I don't have. Of course, being Treasure games, and in general retro games, they were all pricey to find, let alone rare. Of course,
no doubt about that. Yep.
But one of the ones that was like a little bit more attainable comparatively was McDonald's Treasure Land Adventure for Sega Genesis.
Incredible.
And
yes,
released in '93, and actually effectively the second released official Treasure game came like I think a mere like month or two after Gunstar Heroes. I think they actually started working on this game first because, you know, they could get the payday with the whole, you know, licensed game and everything else,
Right.
get off the ground kind of thing. And I think even potentially it could have been the first game if not for Sega coming in to, you know, kind of publish Gunstar Heroes and bring it out when they did in North America. But
Yeah.
so this, you know, basically came out effectively at the same time as Gunstar Heroes, more or less. And you can definitely feel that it is a Treasure developed Genesis game in a lot of great ways. I am no big McDonald's fan. Certainly I ate plenty of slop in my childhood, as I think all of us did. Not anything I would ever choose to eat, even amongst fast food choices these days. And that's something else I've been outspoken of in the past. So I don't really have even a lot of nostalgia for McDonald's as a property or anything else like that, even though I had, you know, being in basically a 90s kid, it's just very much force fed that way.
Right.
But it's funny, you know, this being a game based on the McDonald's franchise. You control Ronald McDonald, and you know, I don't think it's weird to choose Ronald McDonald. Although he was effectively way more the front and center mascot of McDonald's during this time period. In particular, you'd have like, you know, the benches that would have the like whatever weird statue of Ronald McDonald you could sit next to and that sort of thing. And, you know, you'd be in the commercials from time to time, even as like a live action character, which was interesting, let alone in animated version from time to time. And, you know, there'd obviously be better characters like the Hamburglar and Grimace, of course, and they make appearances in this game.
Okay.
But there's also other characters that I'm like, I have a vague like cultural understanding of who this other character is. There's like some Captain Hamburger or some shit. Like there's these other characters that I think they created that are before my time, even that I think were like more 80s references. But Treasure probably had like the full like, yep, here's the McDonald's, you know, character properties. Go ahead and throw them in. You know, like just like that's what it feels like to me. You know, even things like the Nugget Kids or whatever. I remember like
I remember them.
Those are like plastic toys, but also like if I played with them at a grandparent's house is because someone had bought them like years previous kind of deal. It was like so there's a lot of that where it's like, oh, that's kind of interesting that these things made it into a 1993 released, you know, McDonald's game. It's kind of, but of course, Japanese developed. I don't know how big McDonald's was in Japan during this time, of course. You know, much more of a Western property, as it were, at least I'm assuming so.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Yeah.
But I didn't buy it, like I said, as a McDonald's thing. I bought it because it's a Treasure game, and it is a Treasure game. It's very colorful. It's very lively. Is actually kind of some early Dynamite Heady DNA going on in this game.
That's definitely the game I was thinking of looking at like screenshots and videos. I was like, this kind of has a Dynamite Heady flavor.
Yep. And it's pre-Dynamite Heady. But you know, you're using what they call a scarf. It kind of looks like a deflated balloon or whatever, but like that, you grab onto stuff so you can kind of launch yourself into the air to higher platforms. And otherwise you kind of have like a magic attack in front of you. And both of those things feel like a more streamlined Dynamite Heady control scheme, I guess, that way, in a way that feels good. And like, the music is very lively and actiony, like Dynamite Heady and like Gunstar Heroes. Like I said, super vibrant, very colorful. So much variety in the enemies, and even like the change up to, you know, not every section is just straight up, you know, side scrolling, you know, action platformer. Some of it is like, whoa, you know, Ronald's riding the wave that's come up from the bottom, and now you're trying to like grab things or avoid things. And, you know, even later on, it kind of brings in a little bit of a Puyo Puyo minigame thing. So where if you match 3 in certain ways, you can get items that you could use to fill up your, you know, health meter or magic meter, as it were, to continue on. It's not that hard, which is really nice for a treasure game. Most of the time, it is kind of hard. So they knew that kids were going to likely, buy this and be marketed to for this. So, I think first time playing it, I beat the game on the default difficulty in about a couple hours. And I'm like, like my daughter wanted to see it. We turned it on. I'm like, oh, geez, I beat that game. That's kind of sweet.
Nice.
So
yeah.
That happened. Although then I looked and like, oh, it says beginner difficulty. And like even in the end credits, which they put a lot of love and effort into, I'm like, I don't know that I saw like this level or this part. So I think it might even be, if I boost the difficulty, maybe there's even a little bit more there.
Okay.
So it's great. Like I enjoyed it. It's not like my favorite treasure game, but I'm really glad that I own it for exactly what it is. It was a fun little time.
Nice.
Yeah. That's cool to hear, because like especially knowing that it's like a game that might not cost you a fortune if you're trying to seek out like even a full, I'm assuming you got like a full complete in box copy.
Yeah, of course I did.
I don't always look for that. I think you're on the same page as me here, Randall. Like I don't look for complete in box for retro stuff unless it's on the Genesis or on like a system that came in like a hard shell.
A hard shell by default.
Yeah, or some kind of CD jewel case or something. Like, I totally get that, like, I was a person who I regretted, obviously, to this day. But, like, whenever I got a game on Super Nintendo in a cardboard box, the cardboard box just went immediately in the, garbage or recycling or whatever.
We all did that. Yeah,
I did the same with NES
games.
It's just the same as any other packaging for food or anything else. It's just the box the game came in.
We didn't know any better.
Man, if I could go back in time and
or you could
not throw away those boxes.
Flattened all of them and then threw them out like years later when I was like, I preserved all of them. And then at one point it was like, I don't need these.
What am I hanging on to these for?
Which is perfectly rational until you get to this point and you say, oh, geez, damn.
Yeah, you move enough times and you're like, I got to get rid of these flat pack Super Nintendo boxes.
I still got some flat pack GBA boxes because by that time I had started to learn. So those are somewhere, thankfully.
I do still have some GBA. I haven't flat packed them. They're just in a box somewhere, but I do have a handful of GBA ones, probably a dozen or so.
Yeah, same. So I have those, and of course I had to get any soft box for Genesis because so many were hard box, and I don't want to have loose cartridges. So you have to pay a fortune for the very few remaining soft boxes that are not destroyed or thrown away.
Yep. So. You want a copy of Ristar, you're gonna pay a pretty penny, baby.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
But that's good the treasure
hear.
Update for this episode. So.
Nice.
That's great to hear. That's a game that I've always had on like the back of my mind to scoop up at some point, and it'll definitely just jump up the radar of, hey, if I ever see this around at a game shop or, seek it out online.
It's fun. Even just to play the ROM, just to boot it up, it's fun.
Yeah. And even just to pitch it as like a slightly easier version of Dynamite Heady. Like basically, that sounds very appealing to me, to be honest. So
it's got a lot of charm.
Heck yeah. Well, yeah, not to just, like we mentioned, do a little DJ sandwich here to kind of close out the episode. Yeah, I had DJ in town for a couple days over the weekend. I guess at this point, been a couple weeks ago now, but, we got into quite a bit of like co-op gaming, a little bit of multiplayer, competitive gaming as well. And the main game I really wanted to give a shout out to, we played some Rocket League. We played all sorts of different stuff that we kind of went to a lot of our like go-tos from back in the day. We didn't play any Kingdom actually, which was weird that we didn't fire that up. But the one game that he saw, as soon as he saw that Super Mario Strikers, the original GameCube version, was available on the Nintendo Switch 2 via the online, service and whatnot, he was like, oh man, if you're down to play some Strikers, I'm down to check that out. And we did at least 5 best of 7 series between, amongst ourselves. Maybe it was 4, but nonetheless, this was like a game where like anytime we had a little extra downtime, and that best of 7 series was like perfect to just like put a little limit on it, because it is one of those games that if you're playing competitively and you're going back and forth and it's staying somewhat even, or even back in the day, Randall, when like it would be like me and Milton versus you and AK back in the Best Buy days. It's like, even if one of the teams was like kind of mopping the floor with the other team, you just kind of always felt like, maybe we can make a comeback. Like,
it's just so much fun to play anyway. honestly.
Yeah, we can turn this thing around. We can make a comeback here.
Yep.
But the one thing I'll say, like playing just one-on-one, it lost a little bit of that luster. The thing that really makes this game perfect is when you can play 2-on-2.
Yeah.
Because like the computer extra characters are just like not quite like there's something that just elevates this game when you can do like go for your super strike as the captain.
Yeah.
And then have the other player on your team be essentially playing like quote unquote defense.
Yes.
And like clearing a path for them. Because one of the things that I didn't realize, so I used to think when you got a star item in this game, it was basically a guaranteed attempt at a super strike. But that's not the case. Like when you have the star, as soon as you activate the super strike, the star is deactivated. So DJ was able to like tackle me both times that I tried it, that I got the star, and I was like, what the hell, man? I thought this was like a free shot at a super strike.
Not
and
how I remembered it either. Wow.
Right. Well, the reason it used to feel that way is because we would typically be playing 4 players, and you would have your other partner to just clear a path for you.
Yeah, just beat
and
the
make
crap
sure
out
that
of
no
the-
one ever got a chance. But
yes,
the thing that I love about this game, even playing whether you're playing 1-on-1 or 2-on-2, 2-on-2 being the ideal way to play for sure.
Yep.
Because the way that this game works with the risk reward of if you slide tackle or shoulder tackle a player that doesn't have the ball, it rewards the other team with an item, assuming that you don't tweak the settings. I think you can turn some of this stuff off. I think you can even turn the items off completely. But that kind of, I know a lot of people that are like hardcore about like Smash Brothers want to play with no items on like the most basic map and this and that. But when it comes to strikers, you have to play with the items because it's like that risk reward of like, okay, they're doing a lob pass right out front, and I can basically see that they're going to score this shot if I don't intervene.
Yep.
So I can choose, okay, I'm going to just shoulder tackle this Luigi over here before he even touches the ball. But then because I did that, I'm going to give the other team an item. But they can only have 2 items at a time. So like there were a ton of times where I'm like, hey, DJ's already got his 2 item slots filled. Yep. So I'm just going to fucking, wreck shop on anybody he has that comes anywhere near the ball until he uses those items. He's trying to conserve that bomb. Well, he's going to pay for that. So I just like every element of this game, like I said, other than the fact that we didn't have 4 people to play with, every element that I loved about this game before just shines equally as bright as it ever did before. The only thing that makes this game slightly better is playing it on an actual GameCube controller, because I feel like something about like those juicy spring-loaded triggers and then the A and the B button just feel a little more intuitive for switching characters and passing and shooting and whatnot. Like I had to keep thinking about it, like which one's pass again, which one's shoot, and I kept once in a while mixing it up. By the time we played our last handful of games, I had it down pat, but
because you had juke on the trigger and lob to lob pass maybe on the trigger or something like that.
Yeah, lob was on the L, and actually R was speed burst.
Oh, okay.
I think you could use the right or the C stick on the GameCube to do like a juke, or you could use one of the either X or Y.
Gotcha.
And then whichever one that wasn't was the button to use your items. And then you can use Z to switch between, so you can like toggle the order of your items, almost like Mario Kart Double Dash style.
I did not remember.
So you can make,
that.
okay, I want to save that chain chomp, or I want to save that, and then there's little moments which, again, you can turn this off too, but like if it's a little more lopsided, it doesn't happen in every game, but I would say 1 out of every 5 to 7 games, like Bowser shows up and lands on one side of the field and kind of like literally tips the field over a little bit, so the ball is kind of like rolling in that direction, and just kind of, I don't know, just something about that game. Like the goalies are like just good enough where you like never know, like maybe they'll make an amazing save this time, or they're just bad enough where like maybe I'll get a cheap easy goal this time, and like there's just, it's so finely tuned and well balanced for like, I don't know, just everything's perfect, and everything that they've tried to add to subsequent Strikers games just bogs down the formula. There's something so perfect about being able to, you have your one captain on your team. They're the only person that can do a super strike. And if they score that super strike, they get 2 goals for it instead of 1. And there's no other factor. And it's just perfect. It is a perfect video game from the era when the crowd looked like characters in a Paper Mario game.
Yep.
And, like everything's like 2-dimensional, but it's actually still a really good looking game. Like,
yeah.
It's a little, it's a little simplistic in certain areas, but like it still looks great.
That's kind of nice for a sports game, though, with like the kinetic action for it to look simple, just to like visually take in what you need.
Not too busy. Yeah, there's not too many things to wrap your head around. Again, I've said this a million times whenever I talk about this game on the podcast, but like if you're somebody who's ever played a video game before, you can basically hand someone a controller and be like, okay, A passes, B shoots, R is turbo, and let's go. And then, you get the lob passes and a few more of the like, finer details of the mechanics down the road after you play a couple games. But yeah, just right away, DJ and he of course won every series, if I'm not mistaken, because that's just the way it goes with DJ.
Oh yeah.
But
did
I was
y'all
able to
not
keep
play
it.
on the same team at all? You just did the verses the whole time against each other?
Yep, just verses against each other the whole time. Yeah. Which I guess we could have tried to do like a tournament, like do one of the cups or something, and try to beat like the Robo team,
right?
Or something like that. But yeah, I just wanted to give that game a little more love because, and we had fun playing Rocket League. Going back to that, like that game surprisingly was like, being another soccer, themed game or whatever, but was one that for a game that has so much nuance to the control, and I have played a lot of that game, but it really kind of came right back to me like riding a bike. Like I was doing my 180 whip around turns to stop point blank right in the goal, and not to say that I wouldn't miss sometimes and let one sneak by me, but I was like basically executing what I thought I could do. I was doing it, and it was felt good to go back to that one. As well, but especially Strikers, that was just like basically between we were watching a lot of basketball playoffs, or I can't remember if it was the play-in tournament or whatever it was the weekend he was here. No, I think it was still the first round of the playoffs because we were like, no, the Pistons are gonna blow it.
They got close.
Still in the hunt as we speak.
Oh yeah, they're second round, baby.
Yeah, and won game one, so we're on a roll here.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically any like downtime we had between gaming sessions, it was like, you want to do another best of 7 series here? Let's do it. So I'm just happy to report that game holds up just as good as, sometimes I worry that like I heap too much praise on that game sometimes. And that's not the case. That game is just awesome.
Last question. What were the go-to character combinations for both of you?
I went with Peach every time, except once I picked Daisy. But Peach was always my go-to in the other one. And I want to say, yeah, I love how even that, just all the different like the characters saying it at the beginning. And I want to say DJ goes with Luigi every time. I could be mistaken, but that feels about right because I feel like I can hear Luigi getting electrified on the fence. Oh wow! Ow, 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 ow. And for that matter, Peach doing like wow, 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 Peach. So that game is just like I said, every bit as good as it ever was, and
it's
as good as it ever was. Yeah, it's just amazing. The other Strikers games have, they're fine in their own right, but the original is just far and away, bar none, takes the cake. It's the best one, and still, in my opinion, as far as arcade sports games go, it really doesn't get much better than that. I couldn't think of a game off the top of my head. It'd be like NHL 94, like stuff like that. I mean, it's right in that territory.
It is
the best,
no doubt.
Games of pick up and play sports action with a little bit more of an arcade tilt.
Agree. It's in the pantheon. It is practically perfect. Super Mario Strikers. Yeah. It really is. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like basically like it's got the same kind of energy as like a game like NFL Blitz almost. Yeah. But like
I was gonna say a little NHL more, Hits was
or that.
It's like or Wayne Gretzky 3D hockey or something. But it's like a little more fine tuned and like
I love all those
competitiveness
games.
And stuff. Yeah, those are all great games for sure. Actually, I kind of had a weird itch to go back to Wayne Gretzky 3D hockey for whatever reason.
I've got.
It actually feels like almost the closest comparison to Strikers and like the pace and everything.
I can see it.
That game.
Yeah,
but
turn into a brick wall, literally.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
In '98, the goalies are attuned to never let you score. I'll say that much. Maybe stick with the original version there.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, I think I could gush about Strikers all night, but I think I can wrap it up there for now. And if I get a chance to play it again, I'm sure I'll get a chance to gush about it again. But I think we can probably wrap it up there for the evening, unless there's anything else you guys want to add to here or chime in on.
No, sir.
I don't think so. I always select Waluigi, though.
Good deal.
For obvious reasons.
exactly.
Yeah, that's a good choice. That's a good choice.
Wow.
You gotta go.
Gotta have that extra
crotch chopping.
two words. 2 words, baby. But heck yeah. What about you, John? You got to go to in Strikers?
Oh, it's Waluigi.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. But yeah, I think we can probably wrap it up there for the evening. And yeah, as always, you can find us on the internet at pursuingpixels.com, or just look us up, Pursuing Pixels, and you can find us just about anywhere. And yeah, until next week, we will catch you then, and take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Wait, NHL Hits was also developed by Next Level Games?
Are you
What?
kidding me?
I didn't. Yeah, like NHL Hits Pro anyway was developed by Next Level Games, and I had no fucking idea.
What system was that on?
For the GameCube?
Yeah, GameCube, Xbox,
Hell
PlayStation 2.
yeah.
That's
Yep.
awesome.
It was their first game.
Whoa, nice.
Let's go.
They made NHL Hits Pro, and then they immediately made Super Mario Strikers. The Legends.
Okay, so now I need to
come out the
know.
gate.
Now I need. That might have been the
Goddamn.
game that laid the groundwork.
I mean, that's what we did. There was a lot of tackling goalies that was happening in NHL Hits.
Of course.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.